Hello everybody, myself Dr. Mahantesh K, Associate Professor, Department of EC, SJBIT. Welcome to the final video lecture of Module 5, Network Programmed and Using Web Services. In this video, you're going to get familiarized with a couple of issues with a network programs. How are you going to create or interconnect the client and the server on internet, where you can find different languages like HTML, JavaScript, JAX, CSS, and of course protocols, HTTP, request and get, response, socket and post. So here we can have a Python, data store, templates, memcache. So transport control protocol is basically a set of guidelines issued to any communication network built on top of internet protocol. It assumes internet protocol might lose some data, stores and retransmits data if it seems to be lost. Basically, it handles flow control using a transmit window. You might have come across a sliding window, stop and wait protocol, when TCP basically is used to transfer the data based with the data with an assumption of it's a lossless transmission. If you miss some data, it will be recollected by retransmitting the data. A small example of telephone, tin can telephone, which was used by two ladies like a long back. You can see the data was transmitted over a wire with the tin can and TCP connection sockets, and basically you need a socket connection to the process internet. In computer networking, an internet socket or network socket is an endpoint of a bidirectional. This is the bidirectional flow across an internet protocol based computer network such as an internet. TCP port numbers, you should be aware of the numbers of TCP port numbers. It allows multiple network applications to coexist on the same number, and you need to have an identifier to call a particular memory location. An example, you have a couple of different ports you may address to 25, 23 and so on with respect to a respective, what is the information. Common TCP might have come across telnet, SSH, HTTPS, secured line, and IMAP, IMAP, mail retrieval, FTP, file transfer, and DNS, that is domain name server. So sockets in Python, Python has an inbuilt support for TCP sockets. You just need to import the package called import socket, and you can call the socket by calling the using the dot notation in terms of AF inet and sock stream. You see this small letters is a class or an object, and this is a method inside this class, and this is you are going to connect with the socket with a defined URL, that is an host as well as the port. You can see my socket connection is made with respect to host as well as a port. HTTP is another protocol. Basic concept: make a connection, request a document, retrieve the document, close the connection. That's it. HTTP is a full form or an abbreviation of Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's a set of rules which allows browser to retrieve a specific documents or an information on the servers. Protocol, I shall skip this slide. Yeah, and this also. Yeah, this is a small example which you have retrieved the first page of an HTTP protocol. You might have observed this, that this is a location and a server or in a cloud, and this socket has been connected and this page has been created. You can see you have an hyperlink or hypertext which will take you to the second page. We will see the second slide. This is a browser and this navigates to the second page, and this is the second page. And yeah, of course, it has been requested to the web server to the 18 socket location, and browser responds. In this slide you may see that the browser responds with the second page. Again, you may have the request from second page to the first page, which navigates back to the server, and again the server responds back to this first page. It's amazing. Browser using services. How to access a data on the web? There are two commonly used format, XML and JSON. XML and JSON are quite similar. It's a tree structure, and you have example: person name, Chuck name, phone. This is a very typical structure of an XML format, and this can be read using Python. That's amazing. And this is a format of a JSON, this flower bracket and syntax. And again, this can be used using Python dictionary. XML elements, it's represented in terms, it's a tree node structure. You can see a person enabled with a name as well as phone number. Again, a second person. Noha and Check, I have used a small identities to represent with their names as well as a couple of phone numbers, random numbers I have selected. So start tag, end tag, text content, attribute, self closing tag. This is a very critical analysis of an XML basic. Okay. Yeah, white spaces and so on. How to read this? Line ends does not matter, as space is generally discarded on text elements. A small XML form. XML as a tree. This is amazing. Before you read any data, you should realize like what format it is, then only you can be able to read those formats. This is again another example of a Python codes which imports XML as an E tree, that is element tree, and then you use successively. You can see I have take considered an input as a string from here till here, and I use the same input. I give it to from string. You just try to take an input from string, then this is find all, print user count, length of list. So this is a list. So how many lists are there? Print name, item, find name dot text. So item name, what is name? It's count. Chuck. What is item dot find name? You have to find name here. If find name, you have to write Chuck. So name in front of name, you just type a text. ID, find ID. Where is an ID? ID is here, and that will be 001. And attribute X. What is an attribute? Attribute is X. This is really amazing. This is Douglas Crackford who discovered JSON. We see JSON, how it looks. It's a couple of handy and popular textbooks of Java. In fact, you just need to see, like, you need not to learn Java, how does it look, Java, how does it look, JSON, how does it look. It's a lightweighted data interchange format. It is easy for humans to read and write. It's in fact more easier than an XML format. Why? Because you have an object and then member pair elements. Here is an example of JSON. You can see the JSON starts with a square bracket, and you have an object, you have an identities represented in a flower bracket with a double quote. Now it's very easy. If you import JSON and then JSON dot loads input, again you take the input, load the input from JSON dot loads, just print user count underscore length information, that will be given as user count is equal to 2. That's it, length of information. Now info has got all this information. Now item in info, I just like to print name. What is the name? This is a string. Item name. What is the item of this name? We have checked. This is just like a key value pairs. This is just like an item and values. Okay. And ID with the item of ID, attribute with an item of X. That's it. It's very simple. API itself is a large abstract application program interface, which interface a lot of technologies, right? Where we are going to use SOAP, that is simple object access protocol software, and REST, representational state transfer, and so on while creating relation databases and SQLite. SQLite is a small database. In order to access SQLite, you have to download it. I shall share the links and related documents mm, when we come across a couple of issues and come across sites. So this is an example of an SQL. Is the language we use to issue commands to the database to create, retrieve, update, delete. Okay, and yeah, this is also an example. Okay, yeah, this is also an example. Okay, fine. Yeah, this is also an example of an SQLite database. Okay, yeah. Thank you one and all for watching this video. It's amazing to have you guys to learn Python application programming. Thank you one and all.